What if the strongest part of you isn't your body, your talent, or your circumstance, but your mind? Life will test you. It will push, pull, disappoint, and overwhelm you in ways you never saw coming. Most people break under that pressure. They lose focus. They lose confidence. They lose themselves. But some don't. Some grow calmer in chaos, sharper in adversity, unshakable when everything else is falling apart. This audiobook is for anyone who's tired of feeling controlled by fear, doubt, stress, or setbacks. It's for those who want to wake up with clarity, stand firm under pressure, and move forward no matter what stands in their way. Build a mind that cannot be broken isn't about pretending life is easy. It's about training your inner world to be stronger than the outer one. Through powerful insights, practical mental tools, and real-world wisdom, you'll learn how to develop resilience, discipline, and emotional control. So challenges no longer defeat you, they refine you. Your circumstances don't define you. Your mindset does. And once your mind is unbreakable, nothing can stop you. Chapter 1. The Unbreakable Decision. There is a moment in every life when something quiet but undeniable rises to the surface. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear. A realization that you cannot continue the same way and still become who you are meant to be. This is not frustration. This is not failure. This is awareness. And awareness is powerful when you choose to act on it. Until now, you may have believed strength came from motivation, from bursts of energy, from feeling ready, but real strength does not wait for readiness. Real strength is born in decision, clean, grounded, final. A broken mind hesitates, searching for reassurance. A strong mind decides, then builds everything around that decision. You are here because hesitation no longer fits you. The old version of you learned how to pause, to delay, to weigh every option until momentum faded. That version protected you once. It kept you safe. It helped you adapt. But protection can quietly turn into limitation if you never outgrow it. And you are outgrowing it now. Feel the shift. It is not aggression, it is clarity. Calm yourself. Breathe. This is not about becoming someone else. This is about becoming more of who you already are, without apology, without retreat, without the constant negotiation inside your own mind. The unbreakable decision begins with one truth. You cannot build a powerful life on indecision. You cannot lead yourself while doubting every step. You cannot demand strength from your actions if your identity is still undecided. Decision is identity. When you decide fully, you stop asking permission. You stop waiting for certainty. You stop checking the past for approval. You stand in the present and claim authority over your direction. Decide fully. Say it without force, without drama. Let it settle into you. The old self will resist this moment, not because it is weak, but because it is familiar. Familiar patterns feel safe even when they limit growth. The old self speaks in delays. Later, soon, one more time, one more excuse, one more moment to prepare. The new self speaks differently. The new self does not rush, but it does not stall. It moves with intent. It understands that clarity comes after commitment, not before. No halfway power. Half decisions drain you. Half effort exhausts you. Half belief keeps you stuck between potential and proof. The mind cannot stabilize when it is constantly reversing itself. Strength requires alignment, thought, action, identity, all moving in one direction. This is where tension rises, because choosing fully means letting go of who you no longer are. It means releasing habits that once felt like safety. It means stepping away from the comfort of uncertainty and into the responsibility of choice. Responsibility is not a burden. It is freedom in its most honest form. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are being asked to be decisive. Pause here, feel the ground beneath you. You are steady. You are capable of holding this weight. The unbreakable decision is not about what you will do tomorrow. It is about who you used to be anymore. No longer the version that avoids discomfort. No longer the version that delays growth. No longer the version that knows what needs to be done but waits for the right feeling. You know what needs to be done. Stand up internally. Straighten your posture inside your own mind. This is leadership. This is self-command. The old self reacts. The new self chooses. The old self explains. The new self executes. The old self waits for confidence. The new self builds confidence through action. This transition does not happen once. It happens repeatedly. Every time pressure appears, every time doubt tests you, every time comfort invites you back into old habits. And each time you decide again. Calm returns when you stop arguing with yourself. There is relief in commitment, a quiet relief tea. Hat comes from no longer questioning your direction. When you decide fully, your energy stops leaking into debate. Your focus sharpens, your actions become cleaner, your presence becomes stronger. This is how leaders are formed. Not in applause, but in private decisions no one sees. You are training your mind right now, teaching it that hesitation is no longer the default response, teaching it that clarity follows action, teaching it that strength is something you practice, not something you wait for. The tension builds again, because once you decide, you must live in alignment with that decision. There is no going back to unconscious patterns without cost. Awareness has weight, but you are strong enough to carry it. You rise to the level you decide to stand on. Say it quietly, I rise. Again, I rise. This is not arrogance. This is ownership. You are not above effort. You are not beyond challenge, but you are done shrinking your intent to match your fear. Fear does not disappear. It loses authority. Command this moment. Decide who you are becoming when things are hard. Decide how you respond when motivation fades. Decide what standard you hold when no one is watching. These decisions form your identity long before results appear. No halfway power. Half commitment creates frustration. Full commitment creates momentum. Even slow movement feels powerful when it is aligned. Feel the difference between forcing and deciding. Forcing is tense. Deciding is solid. Relief comes when you stop resisting your own potential. You have carried discipline before. You have carried responsibility before. You have endured. Now you are choosing. That changes everything. The new self is not louder. It is steadier. It does not seek validation. It does not announce itself. It moves with quiet certainty, guided by clear decisions repeated daily. You are becoming someone who trusts their own word. That trust is built every time you follow through. Every time you act despite uncertainty, every time you choose growth over comfort. The old self will test you. It will ask if this is too much, if this is sustainable, if you should slow down, listen without obeying. You are not in conflict with yourself. You are in transition. Empowerment grows when you stop negotiating with old limitations. You do not need permission to evolve. Say it again, I rise. Let that affirmation anchor you. From this decision forward, your mind begins to organize itself differently. Priorities sharpen. Distractions lose grip. Your internal dialogue becomes more direct, more supportive, more commanding. This is mental strength in motion. You are not becoming unbreakable by avoiding pressure. You are becoming unbreakable by deciding how you meet it. Every challenge ahead will ask the same question. Will you hesitate or will you decide? And each time you choose decisiveness, you reinforce your identity. This chapter does not end with a finish line. It ends with momentum, because the decision you make here must be lived again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, not as strain but as standard. The unbreakable decision is now part of you. Stay alert, stay grounded. What comes next will demand discipline built on this choice. Chapter 2. Discipline is self-respect. There is a misunderstanding that has weakened more people than failure ever could. The belief that discipline is punishment, that it is something harsh, restrictive, joyless, something you force yourself to endure because you are not good enough yet. That belief is false, and today it ends. Discipline is not what you do because you are failing. Discipline is what you do because you respect who you are becoming. Let that settle. You are not here to be controlled. You are here to be directed, and direction does not come from motivation. Motivation is unstable. It rises and falls with emotion, energy, and circumstance. Standards do not. Standards remain when feelings shift. Standards hold you steady when the day is heavy. Standards are the structure that strong lives are built on. You do not need motivation when you have standard. Breathe, calm your body. This is not a push. This is a reset. The old version of you may have waited to feel ready, waited to feel inspired, waited for the perfect moment when discipline felt easier. That version learned to associate action with emotion. If the feeling was right, you moved. If it wasn't, you paused. That pattern was never a lack of character. It was a lack of clarity. Clarity changes everything. Discipline is clarity in action. It is the quiet agreement you make with yourself about how you will show up, regardless of mood. It is devotion to your future self, the version of you who will benefit from what you do today, even if today feels demanding. This is where tension begins to build, because discipline asks something of you when no one is watching, when there is no reward yet, when comfort is close and effort feels unnecessary. Discipline shows up in the ordinary moments, the ones that don't feel heroic, the ones that don't get applause. That is why discipline is powerful. It trains you to act without external validation, to move without being pushed, to honor your word even when breaking it easy. Respect your word. Say it slowly. Respect your word. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your identity. Every promise you break weakens trust inside you, not dramatically, quietly, gradually, over time. Self-trust is not built through confidence. It is built through consistency. You feel that truth already. There have been times you said you would do something, then didn't. Not because you couldn't, but because you negotiated with yourself. Just this once. Tomorrow instead. Later. Those moments seemed small, but they left a mark. A subtle erosion of trust. This is not blame. This is awareness. And awareness gives you power. Discipline repairs that trust. One action at a time. One decision honored. One standard upheld. It does not demand perfection, it demands presence. Now feel the shift, calm turning into resolve. Picture a soldier before battle, not during the chaos, before it, in the quiet, when no one is watching, when there is no threat yet. That is when training happens. Repetition, precision, structure. Not because the soldier enjoys discomfort, but because they respect the mission. They respect the future moment when preparation will matter. Train when it's quiet. That line matters more than you realize. Most people wait for pressure to force discipline. Strong minds build discipline before pressure arrives. They do not train because they are scared. They train because they are committed. Your life is no different. The battle is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, distraction, comfort, delay. Those are the moments discipline is forged, in the quiet choices that shape your readiness. This is where the old self begins to feel exposed. The old self treated discipline as a reaction, something to do when things were going wrong. The new self treats discipline as identity, something you practice because this is who you are now. You are not punishing yourself by being disciplined. You are protecting your future. Feel the tension rise again. Because discipline removes excuses. It removes the option to drift. It asks you to confront yourself honestly, to see where you avoid effort, where you soften standard, where you allow comfort to decide for you. That confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is clean, and it is necessary. Stand steady here. Do not rush past this. Discipline is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently. You do not need to overwhelm yourself. You need to align yourself. What standard will you no longer compromise? What action will you take even when you don't feel like it? These questions are not meant to pressure you. They are meant to focus you. Command this moment. Train when it's quiet. Not tomorrow, not later. Quiet moments are happening now, in how you think, in how you prepare, in how you honor small commitments. Every disciplined action sends a message to your mind. I can be trusted. I follow through. I do what I say. That message builds strength faster than any burst of motivation ever could. Relief comes when you stop relying on feelings to move forward. There is freedom in structure. There is peace in knowing what is expected of you because you set the expectation yourself. When standards are clear, decision-making becomes simple. You no longer ask if you should act. You already decided. This is self-leadership. You are not forcing discipline into your life. You are allowing it to support you. The new self understands that. The new self does not romanticize effort, but it respects it. It knows that every disciplined act is a vote for the person you are becoming. Say it quietly, I rise. Again, I rise. Notice how discipline and self-respect are connected. When you respect yourself, you do not abandon your own growth. You do not sabotage your future for temporary comfort. You do not speak promises you have no intention of keeping. Respect your word. This applies to how you train your body, how you train your mind, how you manage your time, how you speak to yourself internally. Discipline is holistic. It touches everything. Not all at once, but steadily. Pressure will come. It always does. When it does, the disciplined mind does not panic. It does not scramble, it executes, because it has already trained. This is empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of mood. You are no longer dependent on inspiration. You move because this is who you are. The old self asks, do I feel like it? The new self asks, what is the standard? That question changes outcomes. Let tension rise one more time. Discipline requires honesty. You cannot pretend to be disciplined. You either follow through or you don't. And the mind knows the difference. But honesty is not harsh. It is clarifying. You do not punish yourself or falling short. You correct, you adjust, you recommit. That is respect. You are learning to lead yourself with firmness and care. Not indulgence, not cruelty. Balance. Feel the relief in that balance. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to recover. Discipline includes recovery, because recovery is strategic, not avoidant. The soldier rests between training sessions so they can train again. Rest is not the absence of discipline. It is part of it. This chapter is not asking you to become rigid. It is asking you to become reliable. Reliable to yourself. Reliable under pressure. Reliable when it matters. Say it again, I rise. Discipline is no longer something you fear. It is something you use. From this moment forward, every time you act with discipline, you reinforce self-respect. Every time you respect yourself, discipline becomes This is a cycle you are now stepping into. And the next stage will demand even more internal strength, because discipline prepares you for pain, for pressure, for moments where comfort is no longer an option. Stay grounded, stay committed. What comes next will test how you handle discomfort. Chapter 3. Pain is a teacher, not a stop sign. Pain enters every life without asking permission. It does not wait for readiness. It does not explain itself. It arrives quietly sometimes, violently other times, but always with purpose. You have felt it, in your body, in your thoughts, in the long moments where effort outweighed reward. Pain is not new to you. What is new is how you are about to relate to it. Pause, breathe, let your body settle. Pain is not here to destroy you. Pain is here to reveal you. Most people misunderstand pain. They see it as a warning sign that something is wrong, that they should retreat, slow down, or stop. And sometimes that is true for the body. But for the mind, pain is not a stop sign. It is information. It is feedback. It is training. Pain is inevitable. Weakness is optional. Let that truth sit with you. Weakness is not pain itself. Weakness is the belief that pain has authority over you. That discomfort gets to decide who you are and how far you go. That belief is learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. Calm yourself. This is not about seeking pain. This is about no longer fearing it. Your nervous system has been shaped by your past, by moments of stress, by pressure, by times when discomfort felt overwhelming. Your system learned to react quickly, to protect you, to pull you away from threat. That response kept you safe once, but safety is not the same as strength. Strength is built through exposure, through staying present when things are uncomfortable, through teaching your nervous system that you can endure more than it expects. This is where the build begins. You feel tension in your life because growth requires expansion. Expansion stretches what you are used to, and stretching creates sensation. That sensation is pain, not injury, not damage. Sensation. Your body tightens, your thoughts race, your instincts urge retreat. That is the moment most people step back. That is where progress stalls. That is where potential stays unclaimed. But not you. You are learning a new response. Stay. Breathe again. Pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. The old self learned to escape discomfort quickly, to distract, to delay, to soften the moment. That response was understandable, but it limited your tolerance. And tolerance is what allows strength to grow. You do not build endurance by staying comfortable. Your nervous system must be trained to endure discomfort. Training does not mean forcing. It means exposure with intention. It means staying calm inside pressure. It means allowing sensation without panic. This is how emotional strength is built. Feel the pressure rising now as you listen. Not fear, pressure. Pressure sharpens awareness. Every time you stay present in discomfort, you send a message to your nervous system. This is survivable. This is manageable. I am safe even when this is hard. That message changes everything. Now the break begins. Because pain will test you. It will try to convince you that this is too much, that you have reached your limit, that backing away is the smart choice. Those thoughts are not truth. They are signals from a system that has not yet been trained for this level. Stand firm. You have felt this before, in moments when quitting felt reasonable, when slowing down felt justified, when stopping felt like relief. And sometimes stopping was necessary, but many times stopping was simply easier than staying. This is where identity is forged. The old self reacts to pain by shrinking. The new self observes pain without surrendering to it. Pain does not define you. Your response does. Say it quietly, I do not run. Again, I do not run. That affirmation is not defiance. It is steadiness. You are not rushing through pain. You are moving with it, letting it rise, letting it peak, letting it pass without letting it control why. Oh, this is the breaking point for many. Because pain strips away illusion. It exposes habits. It reveals where discipline fades and where commitment. Stay here. You are not being punished. You are being strengthened. Your breath becomes your anchor. Your posture steadies. Your mind learns that intensity does not equal danger. This retraining happens slowly, then suddenly. One moment of endurance changes the next. One calm response rewires expectation. Pain becomes less frightening when it becomes familiar. The break is not collapse. The break is release. Release the belief that comfort is required for progress. Release the belief that pain means failure. Release the belief that you must escape every uncomfortable moment. Relief comes not when pain disappears, but when fear of pain dissolves. Feel that shift. You are still here, still listening, still capable. The rebuild begins now. Each time you endure discomfort without retreat, your capacity expands. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt unbearable becomes training. This is how resilience forms, not through intensity alone, but through repetition. You are rebuilding your relationship with pain. Pain is no longer a signal to stop. It is a signal to check in, to breathe, to adjust posture, to stay conscious, to continue with intention. This does not make you reckless. It makes you resilient. Resilience is not hardness. It is flexibility under load. Your nervous system adapts when you stop panicking at sensation, when you stop labeling discomfort as threat, when you remain grounded in your body while pressure moves through. This is leadership over self. Say it again, I do not run. Notice how that statement feels different now. Less force, more certainty. You are not chasing pain. You are no longer avoiding it. You are allowing it to pass through without letting it define you. This skill applies everywhere. In work, in training, in relationships, in silence, in effort. Wherever discomfort appears, strength follows if you stay. The old self avoided pain and stayed the same. The new self meets pain and grows. This is empowerment. You are learning to trust yourself under pressure, to know that even when things feel intense, you remain capable. Calm does not come from absence of challenge. Calm comes from confidence in your ability to endure. Your mind is learning a new language. Sensation without panic, effort without drama, discomfort without retreat. This language changes how you move through life. Challenges no longer feel personal. They feel instructional. Pain becomes a teacher, not a stop sign. That lesson will deepen, because the road ahead will not always be smooth. There will be resistance, fatigue, pressure that asks more of you than comfort ever could. But you are ready. Stay present. You are becoming someone who does not flinch at difficulty, someone who does not collapse under pressure, someone who understands that growth has a sensation, and that sensation is survivable. Say it one last time, I do not run. Hold that identity, because the next chapter will ask you to face silence and solitude, where pain is quieter. Chapter 4. The silence that builds power. Silence is uncomfortable for most people, not because it is empty, but because it is revealing. In silence, there is no audience, no reaction, no immediate confirmation that you are doing enough or becoming enough. And that is exactly why silence is powerful. Calm yourself, settle into this moment. You have lived long enough to notice how often the world rewards noise, opinions, announcements, visibility. How easy it is to confuse being seen with being strong. How tempting it is to seek reassurance that your effort matters, that your progress is real, that you are on the right path. That desire is human. It does not make you weak, but if left unexamined, it can quietly control you. Strength grows in silence. Silence is where intention sharpens, where focus deepens, where effort becomes honest because there is no one to impress. In silence, you meet yourself without distraction, and that meeting builds power. The strongest minds don't announce their growth. Let that truth settle slowly. There is a difference between confidence and display. Confidence does not need witnesses. Display does. The old self often looked outward for confirmation. A signal, a nod, proof that progress was visible, that effort was acknowledged, that someone noticed. That need can dilute power, because when validation becomes the fuel, progress depends on response. And response is unpredictable. Silence removes that dependency. In silence, you train because it matters. You focus because it aligns. You grow because you decided to, not because anyone is watching. Feel the tension begin to rise. Silence can feel lonely at first. Not empty, but quiet enough for doubts to speak up. Quiet enough for impatience to surface. Quiet enough for the ego to ask if this is worth it. Stay. This is where many retreat. Not because they are incapable, but because silence feels unfamiliar. It does not reward immediately. It does not reassure constantly. It asks you to trust your direction without applause. That trust is strength. Move quietly. Say it internally. Move quietly. Moving quietly does not mean hiding. It means progressing without performance, building without broadcasting, training without announcing. Quiet movement conserves energy. It sharpens focus. It keeps your attention on what matters rather than how it looks. The old self wanted to be seen becoming strong. The new self is content becoming strong. This distinction changes everything. When you stop announcing your intentions, you free yourself from expectation. When you stop explaining your process, you protect your momentum. When you stop seeking validation, you gain independence. That independence is powerful. Breathe again. Let the calm return. Silence is not passive. It is active restraint. It is choosing not to spend energy on unnecessary noise. It is choosing depth over display. Your work becomes cleaner in silence. Your discipline becomes steadier. Your focus becomes harder to disturb. There is relief here. You no longer need to convince anyone of your direction. You no longer need approval to continue. You no longer need external permission to evolve. Let results speak. That command is simple and demanding. Results take time. They ask for patience. They require consistency without reassurance. Silence teaches you to stay committed during that gap. This is where power accumulates. Most people talk when they feel uncertain. They explain when they doubt. They announce to reduce anxiety. Silence does the opposite. It forces you to confront uncertainty and move anyway. This builds emotional strength. The tension rises again, because silence also removes distraction. Without noise, excuses become clearer. Patterns become visible. You see where you drift, where you soften standards, where you seek comfort instead of progress. This is not punishment. This is clarity. Silence shows you who you are when no one is watching. And that version of matters more than any other. Stay here. You are learning to hold your goals privately, to let them mature without interference, to protect your vision from unnecessary commentary. Not everyone needs access to your process. Not everyone deserves to witness your becoming. That is not secrecy born of fear. That is privacy born of respect. Respect for your energy, respect for your focus, respect for your future self. Move quietly. Notice how that feels now. Less restraint, more intention. You are not shrinking. You are consolidating strength. In silence, your mind becomes less reactive. You stop performing progress. You start embodying it. This is empowerment. The old self measured progress by reaction. The new self measures progress by alignment. Are your actions matching your standard? Are your habits supporting your direction? Are you following through, even when no one knows? These questions do not need to be answered aloud. They need to be lived. Silence gives you that space. There is a calm confidence that forms when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop announcing what you will do, when you simply do it. That confidence is felt, not declared. Let results speak. Results are quiet at first, subtle, internal, a steadier posture, a clearer mind, a stronger follow-through. These changes may not be visible to others yet, but they are real, and they compound. The need for validation fades as self-trust grows. You begin to recognize your own progress without external confirmation. You feel it in how you respond to pressure, in how you handle setbacks, in how you stay consistent without reminders. This is leadership within. Silence trains patience. Patience trains endurance. Endurance builds authority. Authority does not shout. It does not rush. It does not seek approval. It stands. Let the tension rise one more time, because silence can be tempting to break when doubt appears, when progress feels slow, when effort feels unseen. That is when the urge to announce returns. Pause instead. Return to your work. Trust the process you committed to. You are not behind. You are building. Relief comes when you realize you do not need to prove yourself to continue. Empowerment comes when you realize do not need to be understood to succeed. Move quietly. Let results speak. Say it again internally. You are becoming someone who values depth over display, substance over noise, reality over reaction. This chapter does not end with applause. It ends with composure, because the next challenge will test how you handle focus when distractions increase, when attention pulls at you from all sides, and the strength you build in silence will be what keeps you steady. Stay grounded. Stay quiet. Keep moving. Chapter 5. Focus is a weapon. Focus is no longer a passive skill. It is not something you casually apply when conditions are perfect. Focus is a weapon, and like all weapons, it determines who holds power and who is overrun. Calm yourself, breathe, feel your attention settle. You are living in a time where distraction is constant, not accidental, constant, pulling at you from every direction. Sounds, screens, opinion, urgency that is not yours. Most people live fractured, their energy scattered, their attention divided, and over time that division weakens. Distraction is the modern battlefield, and most people don't even realize they are in a fight. Focus is how you take back control. What you give attention to, you empower. Let that land. Every thought you linger on grows stronger. Every habit you feed gains influence. Every distraction you indulge trains your mind to drift. Attention is energy, and energy shapes outcomes. This chapter is about reclaiming that energy. The old self allowed attention to be taken, pulled, fragmented, not out of weakness but out of unawareness. The mind was busy but not directed, active but not precise. The new self chooses where attention goes. That choice is power. Breathe again, slow everything down. Focus is not intensity alone. It is clarity sustained. It is the ability to stay with one thing long enough to sharpen it, to deepen it, to master it. Picture a blade. A blade is not powerful because it exists. It is powerful because it is sharpened. Daily, patiently, repeatedly. Small refinements over time turn metal into dominance. Your focus is the same. A blade sharpened daily does not fear resistance. It cuts cleanly because it is prepared. You sharpen focus through intention. You blunt it through distraction. The tension begins to build here, because sharpening requires saying no. It requires restraint. It requires letting go of noise that feels tempting but leads nowhere. Focus demands sacrifice, not of what matters but of what distracts. Most people want strength without subtraction. That does not work. To sharpen a blade, you remove material. To sharpen your mind, you remove excess. Move into this truth. Every unnecessary input dulls you. Every interruption you allow trains your attention to weaken. This is not about isolation. It is about selection. What deserves your attention? What drains it? What strengthens you when you engage with it? These are not abstract questions. They are practical, and they determine your outcomes. Command this moment. Choose what you focus on. Say it internally. My focus is sharp. Again, my focus is sharp. Notice how that affirmation, not rushed, not forced, grounded. The battlefield of distraction is subtle. It does not attack all at once. It chips away. A moment here, a thought there, until hours disappear and energy is gone. The danger is not distraction itself. It is unconscious distraction. Awareness is your first defense. Focus requires presence. When you are present, distractions lose power. When you are present, attention becomes intentional. You are no longer reacting, you are directing. This is leadership of the mind. The old self reacted to stimulation. The new self commands attention. Focus does not mean ignoring reality. It means prioritizing. It means deciding what matters now and staying with it until completion. Completion builds confidence. Confidence strengthens focus. This is a reinforcing cycle. Feel the pressure rise, because focus reveals resistance. When you try to stay with one task, one thought, one effort, discomfort appears. Restless, boredom, the urge to switch. That urge is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that your focus muscle is being trained. Stay. This is sharpening. A blade meets friction to become sharper. Your mind meets resistance to become focused. Do not escape this moment. Breathe through it. Your nervous system wants novelty. Your identity wants mastery. Mastery requires depth. Depth requires focus. Distraction promises relief, but delivers weakness. Focus demands effort, but delivers strength. Relief comes when you stop chasing stimulation and start building momentum. There is a calm that forms when your attention is no longer scattered. A steadiness, a sense of direction. You know what you are doing and why you are doing it. That calm is power. You are no longer pulled by everything that flashes. You are no longer available to every interruption. You choose when to engage and when to withdraw. Withdraw not from life, but from noise. This is empowerment. Say it again. My focus is sharp. Sharper than yesterday. Sharper because you are aware. Sharper because you are disciplined. Sharper because you are committed. The blade metaphor matters because sharpening is never finished. It is maintained, daily, quietly, without ceremony. The moment you stop sharpening, dullness begins. Focus is the same. You sharpen it by returning attention when it wanders, by completing what you start, by setting boundaries around your time and energy, by training yourself to stay when distraction invites you away. Why? These are small acts, but they compound. The strongest minds are not the busiest. They are the most deliberate. Deliberate attention creates deliberate action. Deliberate action creates deliberate results. Let results speak. Focus is dominance not because it overwhelms, but because it penetrates. It cuts through complexity. It simplifies. It directs force precisely where it is needed. You feel different when you are focused, grounded, capable, clear. That feeling is not accidental. It is the result of alignment. The tension rises one last time, because distraction will return. It always does. The battlefield never disappears, but you are no longer unarmed. You recognize distraction now. You feel it when attention drifts. You correct gently, firmly. You return to the task. You sharpen the blade again. This is not about perfection. It is about practice. Every return strengthens focus. Every moment of presence builds authority. Every completed action reinforces identity. You are becoming someone whose attention is intentional. Someone whose mind does not scatter easily. Someone who understands that focus is not a luxury. It is a weapon. Say it one last time. My focus is sharp. Hold that, because what comes next will test how you maintain focus under emotional pressure. When thoughts challenge you from within, not from outside. Stay ready. The blade is sharp. Chapter 6. Emotional control is leadership. Leadership does not begin when others are watching. It does not start with titles, influence, or authority over people. Leadership begins in the quiet moments when something inside you is triggered and you choose how to respond. Before you lead anything outside yourself, you lead your inner world. That is where real authority is formed. Calm yourself, breathe. Emotions are not the enemy. They are signals, information, energy moving through. But when emotions take control, direction is lost. When reactions replace choice, power slips away. This chapter is about reclaiming that power. If emotions control you, others will too. Let that truth land without resistance. This is not about suppressing what you. Suppression weakens you. Avoidance fractures. Control is something different. Control is awareness plus choice. It is the ability to feel deeply without being driven blindly. It is steadiness under pressure. Leadership requires that steadiness. The old self reacted quickly, automatically. Emotion appeared and action followed without pause. Anger spoke. Fear decided. Frustration rushed behavior. That pattern was learned early. It kept you safe once. It helped you adapt. But what protects you in survival can sabotage you in leadership. You are no longer in survival. You are in command training. Breathe again, slower. Emotional control begins with space, a gap between stimulus and response. That gap may be small at first, just a breath, just a pause, but inside that pause lives authority. Breathe, then act. That command is simple and powerful. Breath is the first tool of leadership. It grounds the body. It signals safety to the nervous system. It slows urgency. It creates clarity. When you breathe consciously, you take back the wheel. You do not deny the emotion. You observe it. This is where tension begins to build. Because emotions can be intense. They can feel immediate, urgent, convincing. They tell stories quickly. They demand action. And when untrained, the mind believes them instantly. This is where most people lose authority. They speak while flooded, decide while overwhelmed, react while unstable, and then wonder why outcomes repeat. But you are learning something different. Stay here. Emotional control is not coldness. It is maturity. It is the ability to remain present with intensity without being ruled by it. This is what leaders do. This is what strong minds practice. The old self felt emotions and moved. The new self feels emotions and chooses. That difference changes everything. Say it internally. You lead yourself first. Again, you lead yourself first. Leadership of self means you do not outsource your reactions. You do not allow circumstances, people, or pressure to dictate your internal state. You take responsibility for your response. This does not mean you always feel calm. It means you always remain conscious. Consciousness creates choice. Choice creates authority. Authority creates trust. This trust begins within you. Feel the pressure rising now, because emotional control will be tested most when it matters most. In conflict, in disappointment, in moments where expectations are not met, in moments where something feels unfair. Those are the moments where leadership is either strengthened or exposed. You have been there before. Moments where words came out sharper than intended, where silence carried tension, where reactions left consequences that lasted longer than the emotion itself. This is not regret. This is insight. Insight gives you power. Emotional regulation is a skill. And like all skills, it is trained. You train it by noticing the body first. Tightness, heat, shallow breath, racing thoughts. These are not commands, they are signal. Pause, breathe, then act. This sequence interrupts reaction. It buys you time, and time is leverage. Most people believe leadership is about speed, about decisiveness without hesitation. But true leadership includes restraint, knowing when not to act, knowing when to wait, knowing when to soften and when to stand firm. That discernment requires emotional control. Let tension rise further, because controlling emotions does not mean avoiding difficult conversation. It means having them without losing yourself. It means standing firm without hostility. It means setting boundaries without aggression. This is strength. You are learning to separate emotion from identity. Feeling angry does not mean you are anger. Feeling fear does not mean you are weak. Feeling pressure does not mean you are failing. Emotions pass. Identity remains. Say it again. You lead yourself first. This leadership shows in how you speak, how you listen, how you pause before responding, how you choose tone, how you decide timing. These details shape outcomes more than intensity ever could. Relief comes when you realize you do not need to win every emotional moment. You need to remain aligned. Aligned with your standards. Aligned with your values. Aligned with the person you are becoming. This alignment creates calm authority. People feel it, but more importantly, you feel it. When you respond instead of react, self-respect grows. Trust deepens. You know you can handle pressure without losing control. That knowledge builds confidence that cannot be shaken. This is empowerment. The old self believed emotions were uncontrollable, that they simply happened and demanded response. The new self understands emotions are powerful but manageable, not through force, through awareness. Breathe, then act. Let that rhythm become familiar. Breath first, choice second. This rhythm slows chaos. Now feel the next wave of tension, because emotional control also applies inward, to how you speak to yourself, to the internal dialogue that runs quietly but constantly. That voice can motivate or sabotage, and emotional spikes often feed negative internal narrative. Leadership requires regulating that voice too. You do not attack yourself when things go wrong. You do not spiral when progress is slow. You correct, you refocus, you continue. This is internal authority. You are not indulgent with excuses. You are not harsh with judgment. You are firm, calm, direct. This balance is leadership. Say it quietly, I lead myself first. Notice how that statement settles. There will be moments when emotions surge quickly, when something unexpected happens, when pressure hits without warning. In those moments, your training matters. You may not feel calm immediately. That is normal. Control does not mean instant peace. It means you shorten the distance between reaction and recovery. You recover faster. You return to center quicker. You regain clarity sooner. That is progress. And progress compounds. Each time you regulate instead of react, you reinforce a powerful identity. I am someone who can handle this. I am someone who stays grounded. I am someone who leads under pressure. That identity becomes default. The world does not get calmer, you get stronger. Relief deepens here. Because you no longer fear your emotions, you respect them. You listen, but you decide. This frees you from being pulled into unnecessary conflict, from saying things you don't mean, from actions that cost more than they give. Emotional control is not silence, it is precision. Precision in response, precision in timing, precision in energy. This precision is what makes leadership effective. The tension rises one last time, because leadership will demand emotional control when stakes are high, when outcomes matter, when others look to you for stability. In those moments, your internal regulation becomes external influence. Calm spreads, confidence steadies others, your presence becomes grounding. This is authority without force. You are building that now, breath by breath, choice by choice. Say it again, breathe, then act. Hold that rhythm, because the next chapter will challenge how you handle delayed gratification and patience. And emotional control will be the foundation that carries you through waiting without frustration. Stay grounded. You are leading now. Chapter 7, The Identity Shift. Everything you have done so far has been preparing you for this realization. Not a technique, not a strategy, a truth. You don't build habits, you become someone new. Habits are not the foundation. They are the evidence. Identity comes first. Calm yourself, breathe, let this sink in. For a long time, you may have tried to change your behavior directly. Do this more. Stop doing that. Push harder. Try again. Sometimes it worked. Often it didn't last. Not because you lacked discipline, but because behavior cannot outrun identity. You will always return to who you are. Identity precedes behavior. That sentence is not theory. It is reality. Every action you take is a vote for the person you think you are. Every decision reflects a self-image, whether you are aware of it or not. When the identity stays the same, behavior eventually snaps back. When identity shifts, behavior follows naturally. This chapter is not about forcing change. It is about allowing evolution. The old self tried to act like a winner without believing it, tried to perform strength without embodying it, tried to maintain habits that felt foreign, heavy, temporary. That created friction, exhaustion, frustration. The new self understands something deeper. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. So the real work begins inside. Pause here, feel the stillness. An identity shift is quiet at first. It does not announce itself. It does not rush. It settles in slowly, then reshapes everything from the inside out. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" That question changes your posture, your tone, your patience. Imagine who you become when this is natural. Not forced, not strained, natural. Imagine waking up already aligned with discipline, already grounded in focus, already calm under sure, not because you pushed yourself there that morning, but because this is who you are now. That future is not fantasy, it is direction. Feel the tension begin to rise, because identity shifts require release. You cannot become someone new while clinging to who you used to be. Old labels, old excuses, old narratives, they must loosen their grip. You are not betraying your past. You are evolving beyond it. The old self identified with struggle, with effort, with always trying. Trying can feel noble, but it can also keep you stuck. The new self identifies with consistency, with standards, with follow-through. The difference is subtle and powerful. Trying asks, can I do this? Identity states, this is what I do. Trying negotiates. Identity executes. Say it internally. I am becoming the one who wins. Again, I am becoming the one who wins. Notice how that feels. Not loud, not boastful, grounded, steady. Winning is not about comparison. It is about alignment, about living in a way that compounds over time, about choosing actions that your future self will thank you. The old self waited for proof before believing. The new self believes first, then builds proof. This is where most people get stuck. They want confidence before commitment, results before identity, permission before action, but identity is chosen, not earned. You choose who you are becoming, then you live into it. This is the break point, because choosing a new identity means your old patterns will challenge, old habits will surface, old doubts will speak. That does not mean the identity is false. It means it is new. Stay. When discomfort appears, do not retreat. This is identity under construction. Breathe. You are not pretending. You are practicing being who you are becoming. There is relief in this understanding. You no longer need to force every habit. You need to reinforce identity. Ask yourself in moments of decision, what would the person I am becoming do here? That question simplifies action. You do not need to argue. You already know. Imagine who you become when this is natural. Imagine discipline feeling like self-respect, not effort. Imagine focus feeling like clarity, not strain. Imagine emotional control feeling like maturity, not suppression. These are not separate skills. They are expressions of identity. The rebuild begins now. Each time you act in alignment with your chosen identity, you strengthen it. Each time you follow through, it becomes more familiar. Each time you correct instead of criticize, it stabilizes. You are teaching your nervous system, your mind, your body. This is who we are now. Identity is reinforced through repetition, not dramatic moments, daily ones. Small choices made consistently reshape self-image faster than big promises ever could. Say it again. I am becoming the one who wins. Winning does not mean perfection. It means direction. It means resilience. It means the ability to adapt without abandoning yourself. The old self feared failure because it threatened identity. The new self sees failure as information, not definition. This is leadership within. You stop taking setbacks personally. You stop questioning your worth based on outcome. You remain anchored in who you are becoming, regardless of temporary results. That anchor creates calm. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates momentum. This momentum feels different than motivation. It is quieter, steadier, less emotional, more reliable. You no longer need to convince yourself to act. Action makes sense. The tension rises again, because identity shifts also change your environment. Some things will no longer fit. Some conversations will feel shallow. Some habits will feel misaligned. This is not loss. This is refinement. You are not rejecting life. You are selecting it deliberately. This may feel unfamiliar, even lonely at times, but loneliness is temporary. Identity is permanent. Stay grounded. You are not becoming isolated. You are becoming intentional. Relief comes when you realize you do not have to explain this shift to anyone. Identity is lived, not announced. Your actions will speak. Your consistency will speak. Your presence will speak. Let results speak. Empowerment grows here. You begin to trust yourself differently. You notice how decisions feel cleaner, how hesitation fades, how confidence becomes quieter but stronger. This is the identity of someone who wins. Winning is not about domination. It is about mastery, mastery of attention, mastery of emotion, mastery of direction. You are not chasing success. You are becoming someone success follows. Say it again. I am becoming the one who wins. Hold that, because the next chapter will challenge how you handle waiting, how you manage desire, how you delay gratification without frustration. And the identity you are forming now will determine how strong you remain when rewards are not immediate. Stay present. You are not building habits. You are becoming someone new. Chapter 8. Delayed gratification builds giants. There is a quiet strength that does not announce itself. It does not rush. It does not chase. It does not demand immediate reward. This strength waits, and in waiting it grows. This is the strength you are learning now. Calm yourself, breathe. You live in a world that rewards immediacy, fast results, instant relief, quick pleasure. The moment something feels uncomfortable, the solution is offered instantly. Scroll, consume, distract, ease the feeling, move on. Most people live this way without question, and slowly their capacity shrinks. Delayed gratification is not about denial. It is about direction. Short-term pleasure feels good now. Long-term dominance feels powerful later, and later lasts. This chapter is about choosing later. Patience is strength in disguise. Let that truth settle. Patience is often misunderstood as passivity, as weakness, as waiting without action. That is not patience. That is avoidance. Real patience is active, intentional, focused. It is the ability to hold desire without being controlled by it. You are not suppressing wants. You are prioritizing outcomes. The old self wanted relief, wanted comfort, wanted proof now, wanted reward before the work was complete. That desire was human, understandable, but it trained impatience. It trained the nervous system to expect payoff before effort matured. The new self is learning something different. You can want something and still wait. You can feel desire and not obey it. You can delay without diminishing yourself. This is where tension begins to rise. Because delaying gratification is uncomfortable, it creates pressure inside. An urge, a pull, a voice that says, "Why not now? You deserve it just this once." That voice is not evil, it is untrained. Stay. This discomfort is not punishment, it is training. Every time you delay gratification, you stretch your capacity. You teach your nervous system that urgency does not equal necessity. You teach your mind that you are capable of restraint. Restraint is power. Giants are not built on impulse. They are built on patience, on repetition, on unseen effort compounded over time. Wait with purpose. Say it internally. Wait with purpose. Waiting without purpose feels empty. Waiting with purpose feels intentional. You are not pausing because you are unsure. You are pausing because you are committed to something greater than the moment. This is discipline expressed through time. Feel the pressure building now, because the world will test this. Opportunities to indulge will appear constantly. Shortcuts, comfort, easy wins that cost you depth, they will look harmless, even justified. But every shortcut trains impatience. Every indulgence weakens restraint. Every unnecessary reward teaches the mind that effort is optional. You are changing that pattern. Earn everything. That command is firm for a reason. Earning builds pride. Earning builds self-respect. Earning builds identity. When you earn, you trust yourself. You know the result is real because the effort was real. Unearned rewards feel good briefly. Earned rewards feel solid. There is relief in that solidity. The old self chased pleasure to escape discomfort. The new self tolerates discomfort to build strength. This is the break point for many, because delaying gratification requires faith. Faith in your process. Faith in your future self. Faith that effort will pay off even when the payoff is not immediate. Stay grounded. You are not waiting blindly. You are waiting strategically. Imagine who you become when patience is natural. Imagine being unshaken by delay, unmoved by urgency, calm while others rush, focused while others scatter. That is dominance. Dominance is not loud, it is controlled. The rebuild begins here. Each time you choose effort over ease, patience over impulse, long-term over short-term, you reinforce a powerful identity. I can wait. I can endure. I can finish what I start. Say it quietly, I can wait. Say it again, I can endure. Notice the steadiness in that. Delayed gratification strengthens every area of your life. Focus deepens. Discipline stabilizes. Emotional control sharpens. You stop being pulled by every want. You become selective. Selection is leadership. You do not need everything now. You need the right things later. The tension rises again, because patience will be tested most when progress feels slow, when effort feels repetitive, when results lag behind work. Those moments are dangerous for the impatient mind. But you are no longer that mind. You understand now that growth is not linear. That strength compounds quietly. That dominance is built in the waiting. Wait with purpose. Purpose gives waiting meaning. Purpose keeps you steady. Purpose reminds you why you started. Relief comes when you stop measuring progress daily and start trusting consistency. You are not falling behind. You are building ahead. Empowerment grows when you realize you are no longer controlled by urges. You choose when to act, you choose when to rest, you choose when to reward yourself. That choice is freedom. Earn everything. Rewards feel different when they are earned. They land deeper, they last longer, they reinforce pride instead of guilt. You are becoming someone who respects the process, someone who does not rush growth, someone who understands that giants are built slowly. Say it again, wait with purpose. Hold that patience, because the next chapter will challenge how you handle stress and pressure as they increase. And the patience you are building now will determine how steady you remain when intensity rises. Stay committed. You are not missing out. You are becoming more. Chapter 9. Stress is proof you're growing. Stress arrives when something inside you is expanding. It shows up when capacity is being tested, when limits are being pushed, when the version of you that once felt sufficient is no longer enough. Stress is not a signal that you are failing. Stress is evidence that you are growing. Calm yourself, breathe. You have been taught to fear stress, to see it as damage, as overload, as something to escape as quickly as possible. And unmanaged stress can harm you, yes, but avoided stress shrinks you. What you are learning now is the difference. Comfort shrinks you, resistance builds you. Let that truth settle deeply. Every strong structure is formed under pressure. Muscles grow by resisting weight. Skill develops by resisting difficulty. Leadership emerges by resisting chaos. Growth requires opposition, and opposition creates stress. The problem was never stress itself. The problem was how you interpreted it. The old self experienced stress and assumed something was wrong, that you were not ready, that you were pushing too far. That relief should come immediately. That belief made stress feel dangerous. The new self understands stress differently. Stress is information. Stress is feedback. Stress is expansion in motion. Stay here, do not rush past this. When stress rises, it means you are no longer operating at a level that feels familiar. You are stretching beyond your comfort zone. And comfort, while pleasant, is small. Comfort maintains. Resistance builds. Feel the tension beginning to rise now. Stress tightens the body, sharpens awareness, demands focus. This reaction is not weakness, it is preparation. Your nervous system is mobilizing energy to meet a challenge. That energy can overwhelm you or empower you, depending on how you relate to it. Breathe again. You are not in danger. You are in training. This is where many retreat. They interpret stress as a sign to pull back, to lower standards, to reduce effort, to return to what feels easy. And when they do, growth stops quietly. But you are learning to stay. Staying does not mean forcing. It means grounding yourself inside pressure, letting stress exist without panicking, allowing sensation without surrender. This is emotional and mental strength. Say it internally, I can handle this. Again, I can handle this. Notice the shift. The stress does not disappear, but your relationship to it changes. It feels less threatening, more purposeful. Comfort shrinks you because it requires no adaptation, no recalibration, no evolution. You remain the same size internally. Resistance demands adjustment. Adjustment creates capacity. Capacity is power. The old self sought comfort after effort. The new self allows effort to shape comfort. This is where tension builds further. Stress exposes weak points, gaps in preparation, areas where focus drifts, where discipline softens. This exposure is not failure. It is instruction. Stress shows you where to strengthen next. If you listen, stress becomes a guide. If you resist it emotionally, it becomes overwhelming. Stay present. You are not being crushed. You are being shaped. Pressure refines attention. When stress rises, unnecessary thoughts fall away. Distractions lose appeal. What matters becomes clear. This clarity is a gift, even when it feels intense. This is how leaders are formed. Leaders do not avoid stress. They regulate it. They use it to sharpen priorities, to clarify direction, to strengthen presence. You are learning to do the same. Relief comes when you stop trying to eliminate stress and start managing it. Managing stress means breathing intentionally, breaking tasks into focusable pieces, returning attention to what is within your control, letting go of what is not. This is empowerment. You do not need a stress-free life to thrive. You need stress tolerance. Stress tolerance is built, not granted. Each time you remain grounded under pressure, your tolerance expands. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once drained you becomes familiar. This is growth you can feel. Say it quietly. This means I am growing. Again, this means I am growing. The tension rises again, because growth is not always comfortable. It asks more of you. It challenges your routines. It stretches your identity. Stress appears because, see, you are stepping into a larger version of yourself. That version requires more energy, more focus, more responsibility. You are capable of meeting it. The old self believes stress should be avoided. The new self understands stress should be navigated. Navigating stress does not mean pushing endlessly. It means pacing. It means rest with intention. It means recovery that prepares you for the next effort, not escape that avoids it. You are learning balance, not retreat. Balance between effort and recovery. Balance between pressure and presence. Balance between intensity and control. This balance builds resilience. Resilience is not toughness alone. It is adaptability under load. Feel the rebuild beginning now. You are no longer alarmed by stress. You are curious about it. You ask, what is this teaching me? Where am I being stretched? What capacity is being developed here? That curiosity changes everything. Stress becomes less personal, less emotional, more instructional. You stop identifying with the discomfort and start observing it. This observation creates space. Space creates choice. Choice creates strength. Say it again, I am growing. Stress is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to adjust and continue. When stress appears, it means you are on the edge of expansion. And edges are where growth happens. Comfort zones feel safe but small. Growth zones feel stressful but expansive. You choose where to live. The tension rises one final time, because stress will continue to appear as you move forward. New challenges, new expectations, new responsibilities. Each level brings its own pressure. But now you know the truth. Stress does not mean you are failing. Stress means you are becoming more. Hold that understanding, because the next chapter will challenge how you manage your internal dialogue under stress, and how you speak to yourself will determine whether pressure sharpens you or breaks you. Stay grounded. You are expanding. Chapter 10. Control the inner dialogue. There is a voice that has been with you longer than anyone else. It speaks before you act. It reacts before you move. It narrates your effort, your hesitation, your belief, your doubt. This voice does not sleep. It does not pause. It shapes how you experience everything, and until now it may not have been trained. Calm yourself, breathe. This chapter is not about silencing that voice. Silence is not the goal. Control it, because the voice inside your head will speak whether you guide it or not. And when left untrained, it repeats old patterns, old fears, old limits. It becomes noise instead of direction. The voice inside your head becomes your ally, not your enemy. That shift changes everything. Thoughts are not facts, they are habits, and habits can be trained. Thoughts must be trained like muscles. Let that truth settle. A muscle grows through repetition, resistance, and recovery. So does your inner dialogue. If you repeat weak language, weakness grows. If you repeat doubt, doubt strengthens. If you repeat clarity, strength develops. The mind responds to what it practices. You have practiced certain thoughts for years without realizing it. Now you practice deliberately. The old self listened to thoughts automatically, believed them instantly. Let them define emotion, action, and outcome. If the thought said slow down, you slowed. If it said you are not ready, you waited. If it said this is too much, you pulled back. Those thoughts were not malicious. They were untrained. You are training them now. Stay here, breathe again. Inner dialogue is not motivation. It is instruction. It tells your nervous system how to respond. It tells your body whether to tense or relax. It tells your attention where to go. And when the dialogue is chaotic, the system follows. Control the dialogue, and you control direction. This is where tension begins to rise. Because when you start listening, you notice how often the inner voice undermines you. Subtle phrases, quiet assumptions, automatic judgments, not loud insults, quiet erosion. That awareness can feel uncomfortable. Stay. Awareness is strength. You do not fight the voice. You correct it. You do not argue emotionally. You respond deliberately. This is leadership within. Say it internally, I speak strength. Again, I speak strength. Notice the firmness in that statement, not forceful, grounded. Speaking strength does not mean pretending everything is. It means choosing language that supports execution instead of avoidance. It means directing yourself clearly when effort is required. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Behavior shapes identity. This chain begins with words. The old self used language like maybe, later, I'll try, I don't know if I can. That language softened action. It created exits before effort began. The new self speaks differently. Direct, calm, precise. Do this. Stay with it. Breathe and continue. This language is not aggressive. It is supportive. It removes confusion. IT removes negotiation. Negotiation weakens follow-through. Clarity strengthens it. This is how you train the inner dialogue. You catch unhelpful thoughts early, not with frustration, with correction. You replace vague language with clear instruction. You replace emotional exaggeration with grounded truth. Instead of this is overwhelming, you say this is demanding, and I can handle it. Instead of I can't, you say I'm learning. Instead of this will never work, you say stay with the process. These shifts are small and powerful. The tension builds again. Because the inner dialogue will resist change, it prefers familiarity. Even when familiarity limits you, old thoughts will return. Old doubts will surface. That does not mean training is failing. It means training is working. Muscles resist when they are challenged. Thoughts resist when they are reshaped. Stay consistent. You are not erasing your mind. You are strengthening it. Relief comes when you realize you do not need to believe every thought to hear it. Thoughts can exist without authority. Authority comes from what you reinforce. You reinforce what you repeat. You repeat what you choose. This is empowerment. Say it again, I speak strength. Feel how that statement interrupts weakness. Not by denying difficulty, by affirming capability. The inner dialogue also shapes how you recover, how you respond after mistakes, after setbacks, after slow days. An untrained mind attacks itself. A trained mind corrects and continues. Correction builds resilience. Self-attack drains it. You are learning to speak to yourself the way a strong leader would. Firm, fair, focused, supportive without indulgence. This tone matters. Harshness creates resistance. Indulgence creates stagnation. Balance creates progress. Your inner dialogue sets that balance. The tension rises again. Because emotional moments will test this skill. Stress will spike thoughts. Fatigue will distort language. Pressure will exaggerate risk. These are the moments training matters most. Pause. Breathe. Then speak deliberately. I can handle this. Stay present. Continue. These phrases are not magic. They are discipline. Discipline of thought. You do not wait for confidence to speak strength. You speak strength to build confidence. This is how muscles grow. Repetition, resistance, recovery. Every time you redirect a thought, you strengthen control. Every time you choose supportive language, you reinforce identity. Every time you speak clarity under pressure, authority increases. Authority over self. That authority is quiet. It does not shout. It does not panic. It guides. Let relief deepen here. You no longer need to silence your mind. You need to train it. You no longer need to escape your thoughts. You need to lead them. Say it again, I speak strength. Hold that, because the next chapter will demand that you trust this inner voice when external validation disappears, when no one else reinforces you, and the strength of your inner dialogue will determine how steady you remain. Stay grounded. You are in control now. Chapter 11. Self-trust is built through action. There is a kind of confidence that cannot be borrowed, faked, or talked into existence. It does not come from words, encouragement, or reassurance. It comes from proof, quiet proof, repeated proof, the kind that only you know about. This is self-trust, and it is built one action at a time. Calm yourself, breathe. You have been taught to look for confidence first, to wait until you feel ready, to wait until doubt fades. But confidence does not arrive before action. It arrives because of it. Confidence is not the cause. It is the result. You trust yourself when you show up. Let that land. Self-trust is not a feeling. It is a relationship between who you say you are and what you actually do. Every time those two align, trust grows. Every time they drift apart, trust weakens. Not dramatically, quietly. The old self made promises with good intentions, plans, commitments, goals spoken with sincerity, but follow-through was inconsistent, not because you didn't care, because life intervened, because energy dipped, because motivation faded. Each broken promise left a small mark. Not shame, distance. Distance between intention and belief. That distance is what you are closing now. Stay here, breathe again. Self-trust is rebuilt the same way it was lost. Gradually, consistently, without drama. You do not rebuild trust with yourself by promising more. You rebuild it by promising less and delivering more. Action is the language of trust. When you act, your mind listens. When you follow through, your identity stabilizes. When you show up, even imperfectly, your confidence strengthens. This is where tension begins to rise. Because showing up is not always comfortable. It asks you to move when you would rather wait, to act when uncertainty is present, to continue when results are not immediate. That discomfort is part of the process. Stay. You are no. Forcing yourself. You are proving yourself. The old self waited for certainty. The new self creates certainty through action. This shift is subtle and powerful. Self-trust grows when you do what you said you would do, especially when it would be easy not to, especially when no one else knows, especially when the action feels small. Small actions matter more than big declarations. Big declarations feel inspiring. Small actions feel grounding. Grounding builds trust. Say it internally, I show up. Again, I show up. Notice how that feels, steady, real, uncomplicated. You do not need to impress yourself. You need to be reliable to yourself. Reliability builds confidence faster than intensity ever could. This is where many misunderstand confidence. They believe confident people feel no doubt. The truth is confident people trust themselves to act even when doubt is present. They move anyway, because action quiets doubt, not by arguing with it, but by overriding it. Every time you show up, you teach your mind a lesson. I can count on myself. I do what I say, I follow through. That lesson compounds. The tension rises again, because there will be days when you fall short, days when you miss a commitment, days when energy drops. These moments do not destroy self-trust unless you abandon yourself afterward. Correction matters more than perfection. When you slip, you return. When you miss, you recommit. When you fall behind, you adjust and continue. This response preserves trust. Self-trust is not built by never failing. It is built by never quitting on yourself. Breathe. You are allowed to be human. You are not allowed to be dishonest with yourself. Honesty builds trust. If you say you will act, act. If you cannot act, acknowledge it and reset. No excuses, no self-attack, just clarity. This clarity is leadership. Relief comes when you stop trying to feel confident and start acting consistently. Consistency simplifies everything. You no longer need to convince yourself. You show yourself. You no longer need external validation. You have internal evidence. Evidence creates belief. Belief stabilizes identity. This is empowerment. The old self looked outward for confidence. The new self builds it inward through action. Action does not have to be dramatic. It has to be deliberate. Finish the task. Keep the appointment. Do the work. Return when it's hard. These acts are quiet, but they are powerful. Say it again, I show up. Feel how that statement carries weight now. Because you are no longer speaking hypothetically. You are speaking from experience. Each time you show up, you reinforce a simple truth. I am reliable. I can be trusted. That trust changes how you move through the world. You hesitate less. You second-guess less. You commit more fully. Commitment feels safer when you trust yourself. This is where momentum builds. You stop overthinking decisions. You stop questioning your ability to follow through. You know you will handle what comes because you always return. Return is strength. The tension rises one last time. Because greater responsibility will come as self-trust grows. Bigger goals, higher standards, more pressure. But pressure feels different when you trust yourself. It feels manageable. It feels earned. It feels deserved. Self-trust does not make life easy. It makes you capable. Hold that, because the next chapter will challenge how you raise your standards and live by them without relying on emotion. And self-trust will be the foundation that makes higher standards sustainable. Stay grounded. You are proving yourself now. Chapter 12, Standards Over Feeling. There will be days when you feel strong, clear, focused, and there will be days when you don't. Days when energy is low, when motivation fades, when emotion pulls you in conflicting directions. That fluctuation is human, it is natural, and it cannot be the system that runs your life. Feelings fluctuate, standards remain. Calm yourself, breathe. If your actions are guided by how you feel in the moment, your life will be unstable, powerful one day, inconsistent the next. Progress will come in bursts, then disappear. Not because you lack ability, but because feelings are unreliable leaders. Standards are different. Standards do not ask how you feel, they ask who you are. Your life rises to the level of your standard. Let that truth settle fully. Standards are the rules you live by when emotion is loud. They are the commitments you honor even when comfort tempts you away. They are not harsh. They are clarifying. They remove negotiation. They simplify choice. The old self let feelings vote. If motivation was present, effort followed. If emotion dipped, standards dipped with. That pattern created inconsistency. And inconsistency eroded momentum. The new self understands something essential. Feelings are weather, standards are structure. Weather changes daily. Structure determines stability. Stay here. This chapter is not asking you to suppress emotion. It is asking you to stop letting emotion decide direction. You can feel tired and still act. You can feel uncertain and still commit. You can feel discomfort and still uphold your standard. This is leadership. Raise the bar. Say it internally. Raise the bar. Raising the bar does not mean becoming rigid or unrealistic. It means deciding what level you are willing to live at and refusing to drop below it when things feel inconvenient. Standards define your baseline. Your baseline determines your results. When standards are low, effort feels optional. When standards are high, effort feels natural. This is where tension begins to rise. Because raising standards requires letting go of excuses that once felt reasonable. It requires honesty. It requires acknowledging where you have been lenient with yourself, where you accepted less than you were capable of. This is not criticism, it is clarity. Clarity gives you power. Standards remove internal debate. You no longer ask, should I do this today? You already decided. You no longer negotiate with mood. You follow the rule you set. Then live there. That command matters. Many people raise standards temporarily. In moments of inspiration, they commit, then retreat when pressure appears. That is not a standard, that is a mood. A standard is lived consistently. Living there means you do not drop your expectations when things get hard. You adjust pace, not principles. You recover when needed, but you do not abandon the bar you set. This is how strength becomes permanent. Breathe again. Standards are not punishment. They are protection. They protect you from becoming someone you no longer want to be. They protect your future from your momentary impulses. The old self reacted to feeling. The new self responds to standard. That shift changes everything. You stop chasing motivation. You stop waiting for the right mood. You move because this is what you do now. Say it quietly, this is what I do. Notice the steadiness in that. Relief comes when you realize standards simplify life. Fewer decisions, less inner conflict, clear expectations. You know what is required of you because you decided it in advance. This is freedom. Freedom from emotional chaos. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from regret. Your standards shape how you train, how you work, how you rest, how you speak, how you treat yourself. They are present in every choice, whether you acknowledge them or not. If you want a stronger life, raise your standard. If you want consistency, live by them. The tension rises again, because standards will be tested. Fatigue will challenge them. Stress will challenge them. Desire will challenge them. That is the point. Standards are proven under pressure. When feelings say stop and standards say continue, you discover who you really are. When feelings say avoid and standards say face it, you grow. When feelings say lower the bar and standards say hold it, strength forms. This is empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of emotion. You honor emotion, but you do not obey it blindly. Emotion informs, standards decide. Say it again, raise the bar. Then live there. Living there feels unfamiliar at first. It requires adjustment. Your nervous system may resist. Your mind may question. That resistance is temporary. Consistency turns effort into identity. Soon, what once felt demanding becomes normal. The bar you raised becomes home. This is how lives change, not through intensity alone, through standards upheld daily. You are becoming someone who does not lower expectations to match comfort. Someone who raises comfort to match expectation. That is leadership within. Feel the calm confidence forming. You no longer need to ask if you are capable. Your standards already assume it. You no longer need to negotiate with yourself. You already decided. This chapter does not end with emotion. It ends with resolve, because the next chapter will demand that you endure long-term effort without external reward, and standards will be the anchor that keeps you steady when feelings fluctuate. Stay grounded. The bar is raised. Now live there. Chapter 13. Mental Endurance Training. There is a difference between intensity and endurance, and understanding that difference changes how you approach everything. Intensity is loud. It surges. It feels powerful in the moment. Endurance is quieter. It lasts. It carries you through long stretches where intensity fades. This chapter is about the strength that remains when the excitement is gone. Calm yourself, breathe. You have already proven that you can push hard. You can summon effort. You can rise when pressure demands it. But life does not reward short bursts alone. Life rewards those who can stay steady, who can continue without drama, who can remain focused long after the initial surge has passed. Endurance beats intensity. Let that truth settle. Mental endurance is the ability to stay present under prolonged stress, to continue showing up when progress feels slow, when effort becomes repetitive, when the work no longer feels exciting but still matters. This is where most people fade, not because they are incapable, because they are untrained. The mind, like the body, adapts to what it practices. If you only train intensity, you burn out. If you train endurance, you become reliable. And reliability is power. The old self relied on bursts, strong starts, emotional pushes, moments of inspiration followed by fatigue. That cycle created inconsistency. High effort, then withdrawal. Momentum built, then collapsed. The new self understands something deeper. You do not need to feel powerful to be powerful. You need to be steady. Stay here, breathe again. Mental endurance is built by staying when it would be easier to stop, by continuing when the task feels ordinary, by holding focus when nothing dramatic is happening. This is not glamorous work. It is foundational work. Pressure reveals this difference quickly. Under short stress, many perform well. Under prolonged stress, only the trained remain effective. This is why endurance matters more than intensity. The tension begins to rise because prolonged stress tests patience. It wears on attention. It dulls excitement. It tempts shortcuts. It whispers that effort is no longer worth it. Stay. This is training. Mental endurance does not mean forcing yourself endlessly. It means pacing yourself wisely, knowing when to push and when to stabilize, knowing how to breathe inside effort, knowing how to remain calm while continuing forward. You are learning to regulate, not explode. Endurance is not stubbornness. It is sustainability. Sustainable effort builds real strength. Say it internally, I stay steady. Again, I stay steady. Notice the calm in that statement. Steadiness does not rush. It does not panic. It does not demand immediate payoff. It understands that growth compounds quietly. This is how endurance is trained. You break work into manageable pieces. You focus on what is directly in front of you. You complete tasks without emotional attachment. You rest with intention. You return consistently. Consistency is endurance expressed daily. The old self pushed until exhaustion, then disengaged. The new self balances effort and recovery to stay in the game. This balance is strength. Feel the tension rise further. Because endurance will test your identity. It will ask who you are when there is no applause, when no one notices your consistency, when effort becomes invisible. Those moments define you. Staying consistent without recognition builds internal authority. You learn that you do not need external fuel to continue. You fuel yourself. This is leadership within. Relief comes when you stop expecting every day to feel powerful. Power is not a feeling. It is a capacity. Endurance expands capacity. You are expanding now. Mental endurance also changes how you handle setbacks. When effort is long-term, setbacks feel less personal. They become part of the process. You adjust and continue instead of stopping and restarting. Restarting wastes energy. Continuing preserves momentum. Say it again, I stay steady. Let that identity settle. Endurance beats intensity because intensity is dependent on emotion. Endurance is dependent on discipline. Discipline lasts longer. This is empowerment. You are no longer chasing peaks. You are building plateaus, stable levels of performance you can maintain regardless of mood. Those plateaus become your new normal. This is how mastery is built. The tension rises again, because prolonged stress will challenge your inner dialogue. Fatigue will tempt negativity. Boredom will invite distraction. Pressure will exaggerate doubt. This is where your previous training comes together. You breathe. You control the dialogue. You uphold standards. You act anyway. Endurance is the integration of everything you have learned so far. And it compounds. Each day you stay steady strengthens the next. Each week you continue builds confidence. Each month you persist reshapes identity. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with long-term goals. That trust matters because big outcomes require long timelines. Relief deepens here. You no longer fear the long road. You respect it. You understand that distance favors the prepared. Prepared minds endure. Say it quietly, I can go longer. Again, I can go longer. Notice the confidence in that. Mental endurance is not about ignoring pain. It is about understanding it, managing it, working with it instead of against it. You do not sprint through a marathon. You pace, you breathe, you maintain rhythm. Life works the same way. This chapter is about rhythm, finding a pace you can sustain, choosing consistency over drama, choosing long-term strength over short-term excitement. The tension rises one final time, because endurance will be tested when progress is slowest, when results lag behind effort, when nothing seems to be happening. Those moments are deceptive. Growth is happening quietly. Stay. This chapter does not end with intensity. It ends with resolve, because the next chapter will challenge how you detach from outcomes and continue execute without emotional dependence on results. And endurance will be the strength that carries you through. Stay steady. You are built for the long road. Chapter 14, Ruthless Self-Honesty. Everything you have built so far has been externalized in some way. Discipline, focus, environment, endurance. Now the work turns inward. This is the chapter where progress stops hiding behind effort and starts demanding truth. Not emotional truth, not self-judging truth, clean truth. Calm yourself, breathe. Ruthless self-honesty is not self-attack. It is self-respect in its purest form. It is the decision to see clearly without distortion, without excuses, without stories designed to protect comfort. This is not about being hard on yourself. This is about being real with yourself. Truth without emotion leads to growth. Let that sentence settle fully. Emotion clouds perception. It bends facts to fit mood. It exaggerates. It minimizes. Truth stands on its own. It does not need defense. It does not need justification. It simply is. And when you face it calmly, it becomes usable. You can't fix what you won't face. Say it internally. Again, you can't fix what you won't face. This chapter is not about listing flaws. It is about removing denial. Denial does not look dramatic. It looks subtle. It looks like rationalization, like explaining instead of correcting, like blaming circumstances instead of adjusting behavior. The old self avoided full honesty because honesty felt threatening, because admitting the truth felt like admitting weakness. But avoidance did not protect strength. It delayed it. The new self understands something essential. Facing truth does not diminish you. It equips you. Stay here, breathe again. Ruthless honesty requires stillness. You cannot face yourself clearly while distracted. You cannot hear truth while noise is present. This is why solitude came first. This is why environment mattered. You have been preparing for this. Now you look directly. Where do you hesitate? Where do you drift? Where do you soften standards? Where do you avoid discomfort that would move you forward? These questions are not accusations. They are instruments. Instruments allow precision. Precision allows correction. Correction allows growth. This is where tension begins to rise, Because truth is uncomfortable when it contradicts self-image, when it reveals gaps between who you believe you are and how you actually act. That discomfort is not failure. It is alignment beginning. Alignment requires honesty. You are not here to shame yourself. You are here to calibrate. Calibration requires accuracy. Emotion distorts accuracy. Remove emotion. Observe behavior. What you do repeatedly is who you are practicing being. That observation is powerful. Say it quietly, I face myself. Again, I face myself. Notice how that feels steady, grounded. Facing yourself means taking responsibility without drama, without self-pity, without justification. You acknowledge what is true, then you decide what to do about it. That decision restores power. The old self explained, the new self corrects. Explanation feels relieving in the moment. Correction builds strength long-term. This is leadership within. Ruthless honesty also reveals strengths clearly, where you are consistent, where you show up reliably, where discipline holds even under pressure. Seeing these truths matters too, not for ego, for accuracy. Why? You build from what is real, not from what you hope. Relief comes when you stop arguing with reality. Reality does not resist you. It responds to action. You do not need to like what you see to work with. You need to see it clearly. The tension rises again, because ruthless honesty strips away identity narratives that no longer serve you. Stories like, "This is just how I am," or "I work better under pressure," or "I'll change when things slow down." These narratives feel protective, but they limit growth. Truth replaces them. Truth says this pattern costs me. Truth says this habit weakens focus. Truth says this avoidance delays progress. And truth also says this can be changed. That is the empowering part. Say it again, I face myself. Facing yourself builds trust. You stop lying to yourself. You stop hiding from your own reflection. That honesty creates integrity. Integrity creates confidence. Confidence built on truth does not collapse. The old self feared being exposed. The new self exposes itself deliberately. This exposure removes fear. Nothing hidden can control you. Nothing denied can surprise you. This is emotional maturity. Ruthless honesty also changes how you respond to feedback. You stop defending. You start evaluating. You stop reacting emotionally. You start extracting value. Feedback becomes data. Data becomes adjustment. Adjustment becomes improvement. This mindset accelerates growth. The tension rises further, because honesty also demands ownership of choices. No blaming timing. No blaming others. No blaming conditions. Ownership is heavy at first, but weight builds strength. Ownership restores agency. Agency restores direction. Direction restores momentum. You are not a victim of patterns. You are a participant, and participants can change the game. Relief deepens here. You no longer need to protect an image. You are building reality. Reality does not require performance. Reality requires consistency. Ruthless honesty simplifies life. You stop overthinking. You stop justifying. You stop creating complexity where none is needed. You see. You decide. You act. That simplicity is power. Say it again, I face myself. Hold that affirmation. Facing yourself also prepares you for leadership beyond yourself. You cannot lead others honestly if you avoid yourself. You cannot demand accountability externally if you lack it internally. This chapter is a foundation. Leadership begins with self-honesty. The tension rises one last time, because once you face the truth, you must live differently. You cannot unknow what you know. You cannot return to unconscious patterns without cost. Awareness changes responsibility, but responsibility is not a burden now. It is direction. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer drifting. You are correcting, and correction is progress. This chapter does not end with comfort. It ends with clarity, because the next chapter will expand leadership outward, and the strength of that leadership will depend entirely on how honestly you have faced yourself. Stay grounded. Look clearly. You face yourself, and that is where real power begins. Chapter 15. The Leader's Mindset. Leadership does not begin when others follow you. It begins when you stop needing them to. Before influence appears externally, authority must exist internally. This chapter is about that authority. The kind that does not demand attention, yet commands it. The kind that is felt before it is seen. Calm yourself, breathe. A leader's mindset is not loud. It does not rush. It does not chase approval. It is rooted, stable, certain. And that certainty is not arrogance. It is alignment. Leadership is internal authority before external influence. Let that truth settle. People do not respond first to your words. They respond to your presence. They feel how grounded you are, how decisive you are, how steady you remain when things are unclear. Certainty communicates before language ever does. People feel your certainty. This is not something you pretend. It is something you cultivate. The old self may have believed leadership was about charisma, about confidence displayed outwardly, about convincing others. That belief puts focus in the wrong place. It turns leadership into performance. The new self understands leadership is embodiment. You do not tell people who you are. You show them by how you stand, decide, and act. Stay here, breathe again. Internal authority means you trust your judgment. You are not reckless. You are not rigid. You are decisive. When faced with a choice, you do not collapse into overthinking. You evaluate, you choose, you move. Movement builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence stabilizes presence. This is leadership in motion. The leader's mindset is calm under uncertainty, not because uncertainty disappears, but because panic no longer leads. Leaders accept incomplete information. They act anyway, adjusting as needed. They do not freeze waiting for perfect clarity. Perfect clarity is rare. Decisive clarity is built. Say it internally. I decide and move. Again, I decide and move. Notice the weight of that. Internal authority also means responsibility. Leaders do not outsource blame. They do not hide behind excuses. They own outcomes, good or bad. Ownership strengthens credibility. Credibility builds trust. Trust is influence. The old self may have waited for permission, for consensus, for reassurance that the decision was right. That waiting diluted authority, not because you were incapable, but because you hesitated to claim responsibility. The new self claims it. You do not need to be right all the time. You need to be responsible all the time. That responsibility sharpens judgment over time. This is how leaders grow. People feel your certainty because certainty comes from coherence. Your words match your action. Your actions match your standards. Your standards match your value. There is no internal contradiction. Coherence is powerful. When you are coherent, others relax around you. They trust your direction, even if they do not fully understand it yet. This is influence without force. Breathe. The leader's mindset is also about emotional containment, not suppression. Containment. Leaders feel deeply, but they do not spill emotion into every moment. They choose when and how to express. This containment creates safety for others. People feel safer around someone who is steady. Steadiness is leadership. The old self may have shared uncertainty openly, hoping for reassurance. The new self processes uncertainty internally, then presents direction clearly. This is not isolation. It is responsibility. Leadership carries weight. You carry it calmly. Say it quietly, I hold steady. Again, I hold steady. Notice the calm in that statement. Internal authority also means boundaries. Leaders protect focus. They protect energy. They do not allow every demand to dictate priority. They choose what matters and allocate attention accordingly. This discipline communicates seriousness. People feel when someone is deliberate. Deliberateness commands respect. The leader's mindset does not seek to be liked. It seeks to be effective. Liking is unstable. Effectiveness builds trust. Trust builds loyalty. This is long-term influence. You are not here to manage impressions. You are here to manage direction. The tension rises gently because leadership requires standing alone at times, making decisions without unanimous support, holding standards others may resist. This can feel isolating if you expect validation, but you no longer do. Your validation comes from alignment. Alignment removes loneliness. You are not alone when you are aligned with yourself. People feel your certainty because certainty is contagious. Calm spreads, focus spreads, confidence spreads. When you are grounded, others stabilize. This is how leaders elevate environments without speaking. Relief comes when you realize you do not need to dominate to lead. You do not need volume. You do not need intensity. You need clarity and consistency. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility builds influence. Influence shapes outcomes. The leader's mindset is patient. It understands timing. It does not rush growth. It allows processes to mature. It holds vision steady while details evolve. Vision steadiness anchors teams. Even when plans adjust, direction remains. This is leadership. Say it internally, I am clear. Again, I am clear. Internal authority also means self-regulation. When things go wrong, leaders respond, not react. They correct without blame. They adapt without panic. They maintain dignity under pressure. Dignity earns respect. Respect strengthens influence. You have trained this already. Calm under fire, ruthless honesty, detachment from outcomes. These were not isolated lessons. They were leadership training. Now they integrate. You begin to notice how people respond differently, not dramatically, subtly. They listen more closely. They seek your input. They mirror your pace. This is not manipulation. This is presence. Presence leads. The tension rises one last time, because leadership will demand more from you as it grows. More responsibility, more restraint, more consistency. But you are ready for that demand because you have built internal authority first. You are not stepping into leadership. Leadership is emerging from you. This chapter does not end with instruction. It ends with embodiment, because the next chapter will test leadership under pressure and reveal who you are when stakes are high. And the mindset you have built here will determine how steady you remain. Stay grounded. Hold your certainty. People feel it, and they will follow. Final conclusion. The mind you built. You are standing at the edge of something real now. Not imagined, not hoped for, built. Layer by layer, decision by decision. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here because you chose to stay, to listen, to face yourself, to train when it was quiet, to stand when it was uncomfortable, to continue when it would have been easier to stop. Pause, breathe. Look back at what you've done internally. You didn't just consume words. You rewired pattern. You changed how you respond to pressure. You shifted how you speak to yourself. You learned to wait without weakening, to focus without force, to endure without drama. That is not motivation. That is construction. You built a mind that no longer collapses under noise. You built a mind that does not need permission. You built a mind that does not beg outcomes. You built a mind that chooses deliberately. This is the victory. The journey was not about becoming perfect. It was about becoming consistent, stable, honest, capable of holding responsibility without fear. You learned that discipline is self-respect. That pain is instruction. That silence sharpens. That rejection hardens you without making you bitter. That calm is command. That environment matters. That truth liberates. That leadership begins within. You didn't escape discomfort. You mastered it. Feel that. Your mind is different now. Not louder, not aggressive, steadier, clearer, harder to shake. You are not fragile anymore. You are trained. When pressure rises, you breathe. When chaos appears, you stand. When action is required, you execute. This is who you are now. Say it internally. I am ready. Again, I am ready. Readiness does not mean fear is gone. It means fear no longer decides. You move with standards, not moods, with clarity, not noise, with patience, not urgency. You are no longer ruled by impulse or reaction. You are led by intention. That is strength. The mind you built must be protected, not hidden, protected from erosion, from complacency, from environments that dull you, from habits that weaken focus, from voices that normalize less than you are capable of. Protect this mind. Say it quietly. Protect this mind. Protection is not isolation. It is selection. You choose what you allow in. You choose what you repeat. You choose what you tolerate. These choices maintain what you built. You also learn that standards are non-negotiable. They are not temporary. They are lived, every day, not loudly, not for applause, quietly, reliably. Live from this standard. Say it again. Live from this standard. Living from this standard means you do not lower yourself to match convenience. You raise consistency to match commitment. You do not wait to feel like it. You act because this is who you are. That identity is now embedded. There will be days when effort feels heavy, days when progress feels slow, days when silence returns. Those days are not setbacks. They are training days, and you already know how to handle them. You stay. You return. You continue. This is lifelong execution, not intensity for a season, execution for a lifetime. You are no longer chasing transformation. You are maintaining it, refining it, expanding it. Leadership will demand more from you as you move forward, and you are ready for that demand because you built the foundation first. You did not rush this. You earned it. Say it now, I rise. Again, I rise. Rising is no longer an event. It is a pattern, a response, a default. When pressure hits, you rise. When doubt whispers, you rise. When comfort invites retreat, you rise. This is the mind you built. And now comes the simplest command of all. Choose greatness every day. Not once. Not when it's convenient. Every day. Greatness is not comparison. It is commitment. It is choosing alignment over ease, execution over excuse, presence over panic. That choice is available to you every morning. You already know how to make it. Say the final affirmation slowly. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become. Hold that. This does not end here. This is where you live now. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.